Good evening. It's 6 o'clock on Wednesday, March 1st, 2017. Welcome and thank you for joining us tonight for the English edition of Aura News, where we bring you today's top stories translated into English every weeknight. Federica Mogherini, the EU foreign policy representative, started her tour in the Balkan countries today. Mogherini began in Montenegro, where she highlighted that citizens of the region are European citizens and deserve equal rights. Mogherini issued an appeal to the Balkan leaders, saying, "Continuing with the reform path is not important for the European Union, but to your citizens," urging regional cooperation and good neighbor relations, which she feels have a crucial importance for the area. The EU diplomat will arrive in Tirana on Friday evening, and on Saturday, she will visit Pristina and Mitrovica. The EU foreign policy rep will arrive in Tirana during the opposition's protest against the government and while they are asking to establish a provisional government. The political situation in Albania has concerned the European community, with Malta's ambassador to Albania, Mr. Poulis, declaring that if Albania does not meet the European Commission's conditions, opening negotiations will be delayed by another year. The country of Malta will hold the next presidency of the Council of the European Union. I am concerned about the situation in Albania. Now that the integration process has made steps forward, some difficulties may dampen it. We are doing everything so that the negotiation process starts this year. I would like to see both parties closed in a room with closed doors and not leave it until they have found a solution. The statement of Commissioner Hahn is very clear. There should be a functioning parliament. If both parties sit and find a solution to free and fair elections, this would solve one of the criteria Commissioner Hahn has imposed as a condition for opening negotiations. Malta is concerned that you may miss another year for beginning negotiations. Dialogue is the only solution. Malta will insist on opening negotiations in September if there are free elections, declared the ambassador of Malta. Aura News asked the ambassador if mediation would be called for in dialogue between the parties. He said that though this is an internal issue, we can discuss mediation if there is no other opportunity left. Malta's ambassador said that the international community will help Albania to fulfill the requests in order to accelerate the process of EU integration. Prime Minister Rama was in Shkodër today, where he gave a lecture to students of the city university. The Prime Minister declared that the judicial reform and the vetting law are important for developing the country's economy and increasing employment. The Prime Minister also blamed unjust court rulings for the absence of investments in Albania and gave a positive evaluation of the reform for higher education. Albania does not have a tourist marina yet, and we are the only country in the Mediterranean without one. For 2 years, we worked with a company with the proposed construction of a marine complex. We gave them a state property which had never been used, and we went to finalize the process and sign the agreement. A court decision emerged saying we didn't have the property. We lost it in the most unimaginable way, but it was the ruling of a court in the Republic of Albania, said Prime Minister, adding that this is a prime example of why the judicial reform is so important. The judicial reform and vetting are the most used words recently. They are irreplaceable instruments to develop our economy and increase employment. If you look at foreign investments in the region, Montenegro holds first place. But what is the difference between Montenegro's coast and our coast? On the contrary, we have a greater tourist potential than Montenegro, declared the Prime Minister. When commenting on higher education reforms, the Prime Minister said that students with grade averages lower than 6 will not be accepted in universities, also saying that there are 27,000 requests for vocational education. The Minister of Justice responded today to Ms. Calavera's letter. Genevieva Ruiz Calavera, the chair of the International Monitoring Operation, had clarified the supervising and not decision-making role of the board in her response letter yesterday. A few hours after the IMO chair had made the clarifications, the minister sent a third letter regarding the IMO board role, insisting on more detailed clarification of the IMO board role. In the clarification, Ms. Calavera provided a new term. It appears governing board. Meanwhile, in the previous presentation dated February 7, 2017, the structure was named Management Board, and there is no explanation about this naming change. In our judgment, the change of name is logically related to its functioning or the role it will have in the process, reads the Minister of Justice's letter. Further on, the minister asks for specific details regarding whether the official communication will be made with the International Monitoring Operator or with the Project Management Unit, a new structure set up in the IMO, a structure the minister considers to be positive. This situation needs additional clarification, as we need to be clear whether communication will be made through the Project Management Unit, which is a very comprehensive structure, or through the International Monitoring Operation, for which there is a well-determined constitutional prediction, reads the letter. The minister's main request is point 4 of the letter, which asks for a regulation for the Project Management Unit's function, though it's not clear what the minister is asking regarding this regulation. The regulation should clearly describe the communication manner of the Project Management Unit with Albanian institutions, the way the international observers will be accredited, rules for their equipment, with all the necessary security certificates to determine Albania's representative in project steering committees, writes the minister, stressing that this is the only way to avoid any misunderstanding, which would bring further delays to implementing the vetting process. In yesterday's letter, Calavera clarified that the IMO board has a purely administrative role and that Albanian institutions make all final decisions. The ambassadors of the European Union countries assigned to Tirana and the U.S. ambassador, Donald Liu, held a meeting today with the chairwoman of the International Monitoring Operation, Ms. Genoveva Calavera. The 2.5-hour meeting was held at Tirana's European Union headquarters, and none of the ambassadors responded to the media about the subject of discussion. The meeting was held after the Minister of Justice had responded to the IMO chair's letter regarding the role of the IMO board, in which he asked for more detailed clarification about the role of the IMO board. Today marks the 12th day of the opposition's protest, and the Democratic Party chairman spoke with the citizens about drugs in Albania, declaring that the Prime Minister and the Minister of Interior have created a republic of crime. According to the DP chairman, the removal of this government is a necessity, and he promised to set up a gendarmerie when he is in power to fight the drug phenomenon. More Albanian people are joining the protest at the Square of Freedom. This is a battle for life and death. Albania will either end up in a darker place or with the resistance of people who will remove this government. We will give the country free elections only with a provisional government. The establishment of a gendarmerie is part of the national plan. It will maintain order and will fight against drugs all around the country. We will make real checks of the territory. Albania will be a safe country again, declared the DP chairman. Some dismissed former police directors were also present. The DP chairman promised to return former police directors who feel they were dismissed unfairly back to their duty when he is in power. The DP chairman claims it is a fact now that the government is in the service of gangs, putting emphasis that the Prime Minister and Minister of Interior paved way for the situation by dismissing honest police officers. The DP chairman reiterated that the opposition's protest will continue until a provisional government is set up, which according to him is the only way to enable free and fair elections. The Minister of Interior, Saimir Tahiri, held a meeting today with mayors and prefects to discuss preparations for the electoral process. The minister reminded local officials of their legal obligation to notify the voters about where the voting centers are located. Even though it has been a legal obligation since 2007, this will be the first time the process will be done. Starting today, the city halls will have both a budget and dedicated teams allocated by the Ministry of Interior to knock at people's doors and notify them which voting center they can vote at. This is a duty that cannot wait. This is a duty that should have been done in the past, and it is one of those duties that guarantees free and fair elections, declared the Minister of Interior. Driven by abuses made by some city halls, the minister warns the mayors not to violate the law, reminding the mayors that the city halls have the obligation to serve citizens. Efforts have been found in city halls to intentionally misinform citizens about their voting centers. This has happened in many cases, and the state police will take these cases to the prosecution, said the minister, urging citizens to declare their current address within the legal deadline. There is a deadline 6 months from January 30th for citizens to declare if they have changed their address. That's all for our English edition this evening. Please join us again Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. for your local news in English. My name is Mari, and on behalf of Aura News, thank you and good night.